Welcome to No Agenda, sponsored by Caesars Entertainment. My name is Courtney Stanley.
And I'm Sarah Solomon. Ever thought about planning your annual meeting at an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean? Well, MPI just wrapped a successful WEC at the Barcelo Resort in Riviera Maya, Mexico. And we're getting an exclusive look into the learning lessons from the woman behind it all, Melinda Braindate, Senior Director of Events for MPI, joins us to share all of the pros and cons of planning a meeting at an all-inclusive property. Melinda, thank you so much for joining us on No Agenda. How is planning this year's WEC different than past years? What were the pros of hosting WEC at an all-inclusive?
Yeah, hosting at an all-inclusive, the pros to that is that it gave us flexibility. We were flexible in how we started and ended our day. So if you are used to a previous WEC, we typically get you up at 7 o'clock in the morning, feed you breakfast, go until noon, feed you lunch, and then go until 5 o'clock, and then possibly have some receptions after that. Going to an all-inclusive resort means that we were embracing business and leisure coming together. We knew that people would be bringing their families, so we adjusted our timelines. We didn't start until 9 o'clock in the morning, gave you time to go have breakfast with your family, with your friends, to gather together to network. We gave you 2.5 hours in the middle of the day to embrace that cultural siesta time, again, to let you network, go back with your families, have some pool time if that's what you wanted to do, and then ended a little bit later. So we had a captive audience. So we typically ended the day with a general session as a group so that we could put you on buses and get you where you needed to be for our offsite events. So certainly for the way that we managed Mexico and that all-inclusivity, we really had to really break the regular pattern associated with WEC and see how we could embrace that all-inclusivity.
Can you share some of the challenges?
The overall challenges associated with WEC, I did allude to it a little bit earlier, but I guess it comes in terms of what would I recommend if you were going to an all-inclusive or down to Mexico. I would highly recommend that you hire a local planner or a local DMC planning group. They proved to be invaluable to us to try to cross some of the barriers that we were feeling. Culturally, language barriers. They knew all the local vendors that we were trying to get to for some of our activations, could help the hotel understand what we were trying to do from a purpose-driven aspect. So there were some challenges associated with that. Also, when you go to an all-inclusive like the Barcelo and you have a group that is over several different hotels, there was a struggle at trying to make sure that all of our attendees got access to our events. Safety and security was an issue going into WEC. There's a lot of focus in the US media specifically associated with the safety and security of traveling to and from Mexico. We all hear it in the news. So we contracted with a local DMC who provided all of our transportation. So we wanted to be able to keep our folks safe and have that blanket of security over our entire event. So we got you to and from the airport, and once you got into the Barcelo resort, it is a gated community. Security is very high there. And then if we were taking you off property for any reason, we were arranging, access and bus transportation for that as well. So just a few little tidbits about recommendations and some of the struggles that we had going to Mexico. One of the other ones specific for this audience is an advanced warehouse. So if you do a trade show, you always typically have an advanced warehouse where all of your sponsors can ship their booths and materials. In Mexico, you don't have that. You don't have an advanced warehouse. So we had to partner with a group that was in the local area, and all of our booths were built from the ground up. There wasn't any shipping in of any type of booth. So, just definitely some of the things that you have to think about.
What would your advice be to planners looking into planning an event similar to WEC?
I cannot say enough about the success that WEC 2023 in Quintana Roo in Mexico was not only for our organization, but for our community. Yes, there are going to be issues, but there are issues. If I went to, I live in Florida. If I go to Louisville, like we're going to do it next year, there's going to be issues there as well. There's always something to overcome. I definitely don't mean for this to sound like a Debbie Downer, because it definitely was not. There are issues that you will need to overcome and need to strategize and mitigate against the risk, but it is definitely worth doing. Anywhere that you go, they are extremely welcoming. Anecdotally, what we heard is everybody had a great time and was able to get business done and to get education, which is ultimately what we're trying to do at each one of our events. So every event has its hurdles. I definitely recommend that you take on the risk, and from an MPI standpoint, that's what we do. That is the reason that we go to places like Latin America to assess what those risks are, and then share that information out to our audience in a scalable type of situation. So for us, it was certainly an opportunity for us to figure out what those risks were, and then provide guidance on how to mitigate that for your events.
Well, I was personally on site and very impressed by the level of networking that was taking place in a relaxed environment. It's almost like less is more when you're in settings like this. So great work to you and the whole MPI team. Speaking of networking, Braindates have revolutionized how event participants are brought together. Let's check in with Courtney after a brief message from our sponsor.
Thanks, Sarah. Joining me now is Christine Renaud, CEO and founder of Braindate. Christine, thank you so much for coming on No Agenda. Will you tell us more about Braindate and why you started the company?
Braindate is a set of two amazing tools. So first of all, it's a technology. It's a technology that connects people. It's pretty much a knowledge market where anybody can post topics for discussion, and where people connect to have a one-on-one or a small group meeting to learn something new or share their knowledge. But it's also a consultancy service where we really help our clients to foster as much engagement as possible. I started Braindate at first because I noticed that, just like me, most humans learn by having exciting projects that they want to be able to accomplish. And to accomplish those projects, they need to grow into pretty much being a new person to be able to tackle their challenges or initiatives or opportunities. And I noticed that, just like me, most people, their first go-to strategy when they need to grow in order to achieve any project is to go and pick somebody's brain, is to surround themselves with great people and learn from them so they can be super agile with their learning. And at that time, when I had the idea in 2008, there was nothing that existed that allowed people to actually find amazing folks to learn from. So we started Braindates in coffee shops, but eventually it became very clear that events were a fantastic place for us to build our mission, because people, when they attend events, they want to learn, they want to be inspired, they want to create new, meaningful relationships, and that's just exactly what we do.
What challenges are people currently faced with when trying to create meaningful connections at events?
Two different things are in the way of great connections. I think the first thing that is in the way of great connections at events is actually the lack of time. I think as event professionals, we want to make sure to create an outstanding experience. And what we've learned from our own schooling is that one of the best ways to do that is to, imagine and curate the content and hire fantastic keynote speakers to be able to lead a group of folks towards their vision of what these people need to learn. So Oftentimes what we see at conferences or events, you see very crowded schedule. There's not a lot of time actually to be able to meet other people and engage in meaningful conversations. And the second thing is it's really difficult actually to find your meaningful stranger in a crowd of 2,000, 3,000 folks. Oftentimes the way that we perceive networking or we think about networking is to cluster people in groups of folks that are interested in similar topics. But if you're at a conference on creativity and you know that the other person loves innovation, it really doesn't help you to find your meaningful stranger, because there's probably 50% of people in the audience that are interested in innovation. So what we do differently is that we guide participants and the Braindate users to actually really define their unique value proposition, if you will, their unique topic that they can share with other people. So we right away generate those meaningful conversations that people are looking for.
How can meeting planners create more engaging connection experiences at in-person, virtual, and hybrid events?
The first thing to do is to trust your participants, to trust that the people in the audience have so much to share. And oftentimes it's not about, like the shiny expertise. It's just about those problems that I overcame and the failures I faced and what I learned from that. So to make room for those conversations, to find ways, and whether it's with Braindate or not, especially for small groups, like a board can be sufficient, but find ways to highlight and shine a bright light on what makes every single person in the audience a unique human being with a very specific set of experience and skills, and to shine that, and then to create room, which is to take the risk of not having content for 2-3 hours, because then your participants will fill that space with their own conversations and what really matters to them.
Christine, this was great input about such a relevant topic for our industry. Thank you. Now it's time for a fan favorite segment, Events Express with Raisa Pascal.
Welcome back to another edition of Events Express, where we take a look at some unique event experiences taking place globally. Grab your passport and sparklers, because this time we're taking a look at how countries around the world are celebrating the 4th of July. That's right, America isn't the only country letting freedom ring this Independence Day. Americans love to embrace Irish culture on St. Patrick's Day, so it shouldn't be a surprise that Ireland returns the favor on the 4th of July. Known as the Irish America Fest, the celebration boasts 5 days of United States-inspired food, music, and entertainment. The event is kicked off with a reading of the Declaration of Independence and flag raising. Get this, you can even see a reenactment of the Boston Tea Party during the event. Outside the US, Denmark is the only country to hold official 4th of July celebrations each year. Since 1911, Danes come together for a 4th of July celebration known as Rebuild Festin, where they hold picnics, listen to speeches, and even sing patriotic songs. Norway's 4th of July celebrations aren't official, but they've been running for over 30 years. Oslo's annual Independence Day event features food, competitions, and musical performances that honor America. You can even find 4th of July celebrations in the land down under. Sydney, Australia is proud to be home to the biggest Independence Day events in the Southern Hemisphere. Their celebrations include music performances by American DJs, as well as abundant American food and drink. That's it for this edition of Events Express. Until next time, I'm Raisa Pascal, and I hope you have a safe and spectacular 4th of July, no matter where you're celebrating.
Partnerships make this industry go round, and particularly between event organizers and catering and convention services managers. Joining me now is Lanette Myers with Caesars Palace to talk through benefits of a strong partnership. Lanette, how could planners best partner with a CSM?
The planner can best partner with a catering convention service manager, understanding deadlines, understanding that it is a partnership, because we are here to help the process, and we are here to help drill down into seeing what the vision is for what the planner is looking to do. Because a lot of times the planners don't necessarily tell the planner on the hotel side what the actual event is about. There's many times where the catering convention service manager is not an order taker, and so they're asking some specific questions, and the planner sometimes is not prepared to answer those questions. And so they need to have a full understanding and scope of what their meeting is about, what the goal is, And that way the manager on the hotel side can help.
What are some things that planners may not be aware of that a CSM can help them with?
The catering convention service managers at Caesars Palace and within all of Caesars Entertainment are very well trained. We're very well versed in food and beverage trends. We are able to suggest all sorts of different options for your event. We just recently did an event with an association that had an 80s party. So of course, there's a lot of options there. So the catering convention service manager was able to suggest music, was able to suggest the fact that everybody had to wear whatever costume, and was able to get a decorator to bring in some of the clothes that people could choose to wear at the event. We're a great resource on the hotel side and also with all of our outside vendors that can support the entire event.
How does Caesars make it easy for planners to meet their food and beverage needs?
Our catering convention service managers are able to assist a planner with their food and beverage needs by understanding the program. They're able to suggest custom menus. We are not black and white. There are many times where a planner comes to us with a sprinkling of an idea, and the manager can run with it and is creative and can take that idea on paper into a huge actual event that is fabulous. So I think that's the best part, is that we're not order takers and we tend to go outside the box.
Lanette, thank you. And thank you for joining us on another episode of No Agenda, sponsored by Caesars Entertainment.
Mark your calendar for July 13th for our next show release, and stay tuned for a message from our sponsor. See you next time.